Hello guys, welcome to my channel. My name is Gift and you're welcome to Gift and See Culture. So in today's tutorial, I want to show you how to cut this overlapping jumpsuit. Okay, so if this is your first time of coming across my channel, do well to subscribe so you can always get notifications whenever I post a new video. And to my old subscribers, thank you so much. I really appreciate. So let's go into the details. The first thing I did was to mark the waistline. After marking the waistline, I marked the hip line, which is 8 inches, and the crotch length. The crotch is actually divided into, you divide your hip by 3. So whatever you that's the length of your crotch, and on that crotch length you can measure your thigh measurement. So our thigh measurement is actually 24, 28 rather. So I remove one and I measured it as well. So from there I went ahead to measure a hip measurement, and the hip measurement is what I took up to the waist. So on the waistline, from the center, I measured a waist measurement, which is 34 divided by 4, and I added 1.5 inches for all the seam allowance, just like you're seeing it on the screen. Remember, I took the waist the hip measurement up to the waist. So from the center of the waist measurement, I measured 8.5 and added 1.5 inches to it. Okay, so from there I went ahead to connect the remaining measurement to the hip. I removed the dart because I don't want the front to have that. So later on I used my French curve to connect to the hip, to the waist rather. So when I went ahead to measure the trouser length, because I almost forgot, after measuring the trouser length, I went ahead to take the measurement of the thigh downward to the ankle length. So that way I connected it to meet the crotch. So after doing that, I went ahead to take the measurement and divide it by 2. I need measurement and I divided it by 2, and that's what I shared. So that's what I shared to connect the lines, just like you're seeing on the screen. So from there I went ahead to indicate my knee length, just like you're doing it, and I divided it by 2, just like you're seeing it on the screen. So I took the same measurement downward because it's not really tight. So our knee length is actually 17, so I added 3 to it, making 20. So that 20 is what I divided by 4 and then connect it to meet the crotch length, just like you're seeing it on the screen. So I went ahead to cut it and I placed it to cut the back. The thing I did was I added 3 inches to the back from the crotch, okay, and on the knee length I added 2 inches all the way down. That serves as the sewing, as a sewing allowance. And on the waistline there was nothing, and I went down to the hip line and added 2 inches to it and connected it, just like the way you're seeing it on the screen. After I finished doing that, I went ahead to cut it. So I added 1.5 inches for the back dart. All right, so I didn't know it was not recording, guys, I'm sorry. So I went ahead to, that's the 1.5 inches. So I'm going to put it, so I minus 1 inch, half inch from the center and measure 3.5. So from there I added the 1.5 measurement. So I went ahead to notch the center, and that was all. I went ahead to the sewing. I first of all sewed the center front. I went to the back and sew, and after I finished sewing the back, I left like 7 inches allowance for the zipper line, just like you're seeing it on the screen. I went ahead to sew the sides too, and in between the laps I did the same thing as well, sewing using half inch all through. So this was when I was done sewing. So I went ahead to sew the dart I put. Remember, I added 1.5 inches, and that was when I was done sewing. So let's go into the bodice. So after that I went ahead to, I brought out my pattern paper and measure 1 inch, which is the top line, just like the way I always do. So after doing that, I connected the lines. So after I finished doing that, I went ahead to measure 1.5, which is our shoulder length measurement. Okay, just like you are seeing it, and I connected the lines as well. After I was done connecting the lines, I went ahead to measure the bust point. A bust point is actually 10.5, and then connect the lines. I did that both on the front and on the back too. So after I was done, I went ahead to measure a full front length, which is also called a half length, and a full front length is 17.5. Actually did that on both sides, the front and the back. So after I was done, I went to the waist, the across the bust point, and went and go up by 2 inches. The 2 inches is actually our across chest measurement. Okay, that one is standardized. So I went ahead to label it, the bust point, the across chest, and the waistline. Okay, so from there I went ahead to measure a bust. A bust is actually 39 divided by 4. I placed the measurement on the bust line and also on the across chest measurement, just like you're seeing it on the screen. And so our cross chest is 13, so divided by 2, that's what you get, 6.5. So I placed it, I went up to a shoulder measurement. So I went up to a shoulder measurement divided by 2. A shoulder is actually 13.5 divided by 2, and connected it to meet the across chest. So I went to measure a neckline, which is 3 inches, and also connected the line just like you're seeing it on the screen. So I went ahead to connect the shoulder line just like you're seeing it, and then so from there I added half inch to the shoulder and connected the line just like you're seeing it on the screen. So I went to the upper across chest, the distance from the across chest to the bust measurement, whatever you have for the front, you divide it by 4, and our own was 3 divided by 4. So from your shoulder to your across chest, whatever you have, you divide it by 2, and on the midpoint, you go in by 0.3 and connect it. So that's basically the best way to contour your armhole using your French cuff. Alright. So after I finished doing that, I went ahead to cross check the armhole measurement, and it was perfectly correct. So I went down to the waist measurement, and I divided our waist into 4, just like you're seeing it on the screen. I brought down the bust measurement to the waist just in order for me to get the dart. Alright, so from there I was able to measure a waist, which is 8.5. Our waist is 34, like I said earlier, it's 34. So from there, the remaining one is actually a dart. Assuming you are sewing bustier with it, from there you can manipulate the dart from there. So after I was done, I went into measure a side bust. A side bust is usually gotten from the subtraction of your nap to waist measurement from the full front length. So the difference, whatever you have, that's your side bust. So I went in to measure a bust span in order for me to know the length of the side darts that I will be sewing. So after I finished doing that, I connected the side bust to meet the bust span, just like you're seeing it on the screen, and that was it. So with this, I can be able to know the length of the dart that I will be sewing. So after I finished doing that, I went ahead to add half inch, 1 inch to the seam allowance, and then added half inch for the armhole sewing. Guys, if you are yet to subscribe to my channel, kindly do so. Alright, so after I was done adding half inch, I went ahead to cut the back. I labeled the across back, the bust point, and the waistline just like you're seeing on the screen. So I went ahead to measure a nap to waist. A nap to waist is actually 15.5. So that's basically where I got the 2 inches from, because a full front length is 17.5 minus 15.5. So the 2 inches is what I use for the side dart. So now I just finished taking a nap to waist measurement. Now this 2 inches is what I actually use for the side bust, just like the way you're seeing it, and I'm getting rid of that 2 inches because it's not included. Alright, this works for every size. All right, so I went ahead to take a shoulder measurement, shoulder back measurement. Note we have the shoulder front, we have the shoulder back. Our shoulder back is 14 divided by 2, that's 7. I went ahead to measure the neckline just like the way I did 3 by 1 initially. All right, so I went ahead to connect the shoulder line, the shoulder slope, and I added half inch just like you're seeing it on the screen. So after I finished doing that, I went ahead to measure our cross chest measurement, which is 13.5 divided by 2, and I connected it to meet the shoulder length. So that's basically the best way to contour your armhole. So I went ahead to place the bust measurement, the waist measurement, and the bust measurement as well on the across back measurement. So just like you're seeing, I went ahead to divide our waist, which is 34, and I brought down our bust measurement down there to and connect it just like you're seeing it on the screen. After I finish connecting it, so the distance between the waist measurement and the bust measurement is what you are going to share as your dart. So actually it's actually 1.5, so I'm going to use 1 to get the hollow effect at the back. Okay, and then use half inch on the side just like you're seeing it on the screen. After I finished doing that, I went ahead to connect both darts. So with what I just did, there's no need to sew the back dart, because basically I don't like that, so I prefer getting rid of it. All right, so after I was done doing that, I went ahead to connect the lines and I went up to the across back measurement. So the distance between, okay, I went ahead to add 1 inch for the seam allowance just like you're seeing it on the screen. Okay, so the distance between the across chest and the bust measurement, whatever you have for the back, you divide it by 3. Not for the front, you divide it by 4, but for the back, you divide it by 3. So I actually got 3 inches on our own, and this I divided it by 2, which is 1.5. So I use my French curve to contour the armhole just like you're seeing it on the screen. So after I was done doing that, I added half inch for the sewing allowance, and that was it. So after I finished cutting it out, I went ahead to replicate the front since it's an overlapping. So after I was done doing that, I went ahead to use my masking tape to tape it down, and that was it. So in order for me to get the neck so that it won't be too open, I was so conscious of it. The first thing I did was to measure the length downward. Actually used 5 initially from the neckline, but later on I realized it was kind of too small. So after I finished doing that, I had to increase the neck, picturing V-neck in my head, and then just like you're seeing it on the screen, I connected it. I was just so conscious of it so that when the customer put it on, there will be no need to complain. So after I was done doing that, I went up by 1 inch to reduce it so that it will be able to lay down properly. So I went ahead to cut out that 1 inch. So after I was done, I noticed the neck will be too high if I leave it like that. So I went down by 1 inch and then connected it just like you're seeing it on the screen. So I went ahead to cross check the shoulder if it's equal. So if there is a need for correction, I can always do that. So after that, I went ahead to cut it out just like you're seeing it on the screen. So after I finished doing that, I went ahead to label the back zipper because there will be 1 inch allowance for the zipper, and I went ahead to cut the fabric, adding half inch. I added half inch for the joining allowance just like you're seeing it on the screen. So I went ahead to notch the center that I joined because it's an overlapping, and I added half inch for the joining as well, and then added 1 inch. So I went ahead to cut the sleeves. Our bicep is actually 14, so From there, I didn't use the actual 14. I added like 4 inches to it and then divided by 2. So I contoured the armhole, increasing the size of our armhole because there will be a little plate on the shoulder part, on the shoulder side rather. So after I was done doing that, I went ahead to measure 19 as a sleeve length because I'm going to use elastic to sew it. So after I was done, I went ahead to replicate the second sleeves just like you are seeing it on the screen. I went ahead to sew it. After sewing, I stop stitch it just like you're seeing it on the screen. After I was done doing that, I went ahead to give it a press, a thorough press. I sewed both front and the back together and it really came out well. Okay, so I went ahead to iron it properly. I even After I finished ironing, I went ahead to sew the side dart just like you are seeing it. So the total of the side dart is actually 7 inches. Alright, so instead of sewing that 7 inches, I reduced it by 1 inch, sewing 6 inches just like you're seeing. After I was done, I went ahead to give it a press, sewing it downward, pressing it downward just like the way you're seeing it. So after that, I went ahead to join the shoulder half inch. Remember, I added half inch to it, and that was it. After I was done doing that, I went ahead to sew the second part too, and I joined the shoulder just like you're seeing it on the screen, and I sewed the place I notched, and this was the outcome. So after I was done, I went ahead to join the sides 1 inch. Remember, I added 1 inch just like you're seeing it on the screen. So after I was done, I brought up the trouser, okay, and then mark the center and join it. So because I was able to add the normal measurement, after I finished sewing every part, it's aligned properly. There was no need, there was no excess. Alright, because I added the allowance I needed. Okay, so after I finished doing that, I went ahead to sew the sleeves using my elastic, half inch elastic. After I was done, I went ahead to weave the trousers. I opened it side by side. I didn't join any of them. The only place I joined was the center front. Okay, but every other part I open it so that when the person is wearing it or you're wearing, there will be no need for squeezing or skipping. Alright, just like you're seeing it, I open every part of it, and then when I was done, I went ahead to fix the zip just like you're seeing it on the screen. Make sure you open it like that. I went ahead to fix the zip. So I actually use invisible zip. After I finished fixing the zip, the first thing I did was to place the zip on just like that and went ahead to sew it. Actually sew just like you're seeing it. The first sewing is actually gathers, okay, not too tight because later on I'll still lose it out. So after I finished sewing it, I went ahead to open it so that you can see it was not closed just like the way you're seeing it. So I went ahead to open the zip. You can see it's not really closed. So I went ahead to open the zip and sew it consciously, because if you are not conscious about sewing this invisible, definitely the zipper foot you climb on it. So I opened just like the way you are seeing it on the screen, and I sew it closely, okay, to the tips. So after I was done, this is the outcome. It was, you can see it's close. So after I finished doing that, I put it on the mannequin, and this is the outcome. Please don't forget to subscribe to my channel, give me a thumbs up, make sure you comment, share. Thank you so much. I hope you learned something today. I hope this was helpful. Thank you. See you in my next video. God bless you.